Hi there, Dance Studio owners. Clint Salter here, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, and welcome to a very special podcast event. Over the next 8 weeks, you're going to be hearing from dance studio owners Angela and Jodi about how you can grow your dance studio in this very special series we're calling Elevate Your Studio. Over these next 8 episodes, you're going to be hearing ideas about how you can get more creative in the classroom. We're going to be talking about recitals. Angela and Jodi are jumping in how to have spectacular summer camps. They're going to be talking about creating an exceptional customer experience, how you can maximize your musical theatre programming, how you can promote a positive body image inside of the classroom, out of the box marketing ideas, and they're going to tell you about their absolute failures that they've had in their dance studio and how to avoid them. You're in for an amazing 8 weeks. Elevate Your Studio with Angela and Jodi starts now.
Elevate Your Studio with Angela and Jodi, finding the joy in studio ownership. I'm Angela Manella Hoffman.
And I'm Jodi Schilling, and this is episode 6 of our 8-week mini-series. And today we're going to talk about promoting body positivity and diversity in our studios.
And this is something that is really close to both of our hearts because of experiences that we've had and the mission for our studios.
Yes, I think in part this is why I started a studio, is to be inclusive of all body types and all people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Angela, I know this is hard, but I know you have a very personal story about this and why this is a big why for you.
Absolutely. And, I get really emotional talking about it because I feel like, it was in my past, but it still is so, it affects me still to this day. So when I was dancing with a professional ballet company, I was pulled out in front of the entire room and told that I would never be a professional ballerina because I was too fat. And this was during class. Like, my teacher pulled me in the middle of the room and everybody at the bar, got to look at my body and, and so that set me off on a wave of having an eating disorder and struggling with, not eating and exercise bulimia, and really, really took a toll on me as a person and as a dancer. And I stopped dancing for a couple of years because I couldn't deal with it. And anytime I had to put on a leotard, it made it so hard. And I thought, what a waste of talent. What a waste of my energy. What a waste of time. What a waste of everything. And so I really wanted to have a studio where that doesn't happen. Obviously I would never do that to one of my students.
Yeah.
But I don't want any of my students to stop dancing because they feel that they're too fat or that they're ugly or that, there's enough that they have to deal with. I don't want my studio to be a place where those emotions come into play.
Angela, I'm so sorry. What a horrible thing to happen. How old were you when that happened?
I was 15 when that happened. So I was already struggling, I'm not your typical ballerina body. I developed breasts really young and I'd have to duct tape them down and it was so different back then too. Didn't, nobody let their bra straps show and nobody, things like that. So yeah, I was already struggling and that really put me over the edge.
And there's such formative years and those things stick with us. And I think that any teacher who does that should not be allowed to teach. I have very strong feelings about this because
I agree with that too. But I think in subtle ways it still happens. Maybe not as blatant as that, but I think that we as teachers and owners can do a lot to help kind of prevent it.
Yeah. And in that scenario, it wasn't just you impacted. All those girls in that room were thinking, oh, thank God that wasn't me. Or they started looking at their body in the mirror.
Absolutely.
And oh, do I, am
how
I
do
going
I
to
measure it? Yeah.
Yeah, how am I measuring up? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
just think even pointing out body size
Yes, is wrong.
is wrong because we all are dancers. We're all able. It's a God-given gift, and we should all be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How about you? What was your experience?
It was, mine was more in college. It was tough. It was more of a comparison thing. I
Sure.
felt like I had to meet a certain standard in weight and muscle tone and things like that. And so it was self-imposed comparison that I've carried with me.
Sure.
And I try so hard not to be that way. And now that I have children, I don't want to pass that on. I try to be very careful about making like bad remarks about myself in front of them, or because in really I just want to be active and healthy for me, for my body size. Like I am who I am, and I just need to be proud of that. And I want my kids to be proud of themselves too.
But don't you find it's somewhat tough being in front of mirrors all day?
Yes. I'm not going to lie. I put a lot of effort into what I'm wearing to teach in. So
Yes.
I look my best.
It's so funny too when we bring parents into the studio for our parent watch day and they're all like standing in front of the mirror. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you deal with, it like shocks them that we have to deal with that all the time. So our students,
my aging dancer body.
Oh, me too. Me too. So I think we're trying to help studio owners just be mindful and aware of some of the signs, some of the things that you can do to really help promote it.
So what are some of the signs? What are you looking for with these young impressionable kids in the classroom? What are the signs that they may have an issue?
Sure. Well, I noticed there's a lot of things that I noticed that I used to do as well. And now that I kind of start looking at it, but a lot of times kids will measure themselves. Like they'll put their hand around their wrist and see how big their wrist is. Or they'll put their hands around their stomach. And you'll see, like if you're sitting down and a child like holds the bottom of their stomach, a lot of times that's kind of an indication that they're struggling with something.
I used to pinch my thigh to see if I could pinch anything. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrible.
Absolutely. And we have students who kind of, because our bar is out, and then there's one side where you can kind of go behind it, which they never should, but they do. And they measure, you can tell them that they're measuring how well they fit behind the bar. So all of those kind of little things are just really obsessing with the mirror and, and not that those are signs that somebody's going to be anorexic or bulimic or whatever, but those are signs that they're noticing something. And, that we need to notice that they're noticing themselves.
Yeah. And there's also, we have trouble with girls and guys like overly messing with their clothes.
Yes.
And like their hair. Yes. We've seen kids wear double tights, like to hold everything together. But also I just think I don't want kids being overly concerned with how they look, especially with like like trying to match media today. And also just like hypersexualization of children.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, like
absolutely nuts.
We're in class to dance, not to win a fashion show.
No. Or, I go to competitions and I see other studios with, little kids with really skimpy costumes. And there's always, the one or two kids that are a little heavier and they just look so uncomfortable. And it just, I feel there's really no need for it. But I know that that's what wins a lot of competitions sometimes. But
I think you just have to choose your competitions carefully.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have changed competitions for a couple times for that reason. Because I know we both have very wholesome studios where we have dress codes and things like that. But let's get into that. Like some things that we can do in our studio, in our classroom to help these children.
Yeah. I have a large special needs program, and we have students who can't use their legs. So we talk a lot about that and about how, they can dance even though, they're sitting in a wheelchair. Things like that I think allowing your students to see other dancers and other spectrums.
Oh, yeah. We like in our marketing, we use students of all body types in our marketing images. I think it's so crucial. And in our choreography and dances, even for competition, every student, we make sure that every student has an opportunity to shine.
That's great.
No matter what their size or skill level, we find a way to make it work.
Yeah, no, that's great. And even for us in class, like when it's the time of month for the girls, I allow them to wear, little booty shorts over their tights and leotard. Or, sometimes I'll allow them to wear a ballet warm up for a little while and things like that. I don't allow half tops at my studio. So
I don't either. We are the same. Yeah.
And I think because I think you just notice that the students notice each other more. I mean, it becomes more focused on the other students than on their own dancing. That is what I found.
Yeah. And once you allow crop tops, it's hard to draw a line. Like things just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So we just don't. We just don't allow it.
Yeah. And, one thing that I love now too is so many, I think it's different than when we were training. So many dancers have different body shapes and different body types now. I mean, there's that girl on Instagram. There's all sorts of, Misty Copeland is not your typical ballerina body.
I love her. Yes.
Oh, I love her too. Michaela DePrince, all of these people who I think that if we start, putting pictures of them up in the studios, not your standard poster of, the tall, thin ballerina, I think that helps too.
Yeah. There's this really great resource. It's called YPAD.
Oh, yeah.
Youth Protection Advocates. The web address is ypadforchange.org, and it's run by Leslie Scott. If you haven't heard about it, check it out. She has created this nonprofit that is it's just beautiful. It's needed. It's love you, Leslie. It's protecting our youth from over-sexualization, from injuries, from bullying. It is a really, really cool resource. And I know you can get certified, become a certified studio, but a lot of the things that we're doing in our studio, she also recommends, and she's got even more tips than us. So if you haven't checked it out, check that out.
Yeah, and even the resource is amazing, even if you're not a certified studio.
Yes. They even have playlists on Spotify that, have you seen them?
I have. That it's like not sexual. It doesn't have any innuendos.
Yeah, clean hip hop music. Like they have a clean hip hop music playlist. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it just even helps just raise awareness of some of the stuff that you may not even think of with your students.
Yeah.
And I think students have so much pressure right now with all of social media, and social media can be so wonderful, but it can be so hurtful too.
Yeah. We thought it was hard growing up in our time period. I think they have it even harder now.
Oh yes, we didn't have evidence. They have evidence now.
Yeah, it's all over the web and social media.
Right. Yeah. Another thing I think is so fantastic now is costume companies are having different colored nude tights or flesh colored tights. Where before it was just like the light pinks and I need to stock more of those different color, darker tights in different colors in my studio too. And I think that will help as well. I mean, we have some, but I think I should be thinking more inclusively about all the different skin tones and things like that.
Let's talk about costuming. Let's talk about how to costume inclusively so that we're not, pushing any triggers in kids, and that we are really advocating and protecting them with our costume choices. What can we do as far as that?
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me as a child with a large chest, that was the toughest thing was trying to find, the costumes did not allow for a bra to be put in. Like my mom would have to sew in costumes, bras into my costumes. And I think that we need to make sure that our costumes our students can wear, undergarments underneath them.
Yeah, look at the kids in the class and choose something that's flattering for everybody.
Absolutely. And there's so many options. So many options. And, the picture of the child in the book may not look anything like, think about those children that are in your class and think how that would look on like the largest student.
Or even the smallest. You don't want a droopy costume. Like,
right.
You have different heights and look at where seams are falling and all those nips and tucks and
cutouts. Cutouts can be really tough.
Cutouts can be really pretty and strategically.
Oh yeah.
But we never let them cross a belly button we're like very strict.
Belly buttons are not allowed at our studio.
Oh, most of my parents love my dress code, and
ours too.
There's always a couple teens that are like, "Why can't we have a 2-piece?" or "Why can't I have this cut out?" or "This is the new trending thing."
Yes.
Yeah, there was a time where it was like I had a couple of senior teachers working with the older girls, and we had a you have to wear tights rule for competition.
Oh yeah.
And they've convinced me to let that go, but I'm like, I will only let that go if you choose a costume that's not going to ride up. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to watch dancing butt cheeks. Like,
right. And you can tell when people are uncomfortable. And it just takes you out. I mean, it's like when a hat drops off a costume. It just takes you out of the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to avoid. Yeah. Not just with body image, but just, with the piece that you're creating, the art that you're creating. Yeah. You don't want anything to distract. If a kid's trying to pull down their shorts, it's distracting.
But the costume tape sometimes works very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That does. And I think, too, the nude colored stuff can be very tough as well. I mean, I know there's some beautiful nude colored costumes that can look great on people, but I would kind of stick away from that. How about you?
Yeah, we tend to stick away from nude, and also certain fabrics are just tougher than others as far as making everybody look good. In that
and don't you want everybody to look good? I mean, we want our students to feel good and enjoy their costumes. And sometimes, I'll even do a costume that's probably not as necessarily cute as I would like, just because I want to make sure that all our students feel good wearing it.
Yeah. And you can always adapt, use the same kind of fabric or structure, but do little adaptations to make each person look great. So it's the same flow, but slight variations.
We did that last year with our musical theater students. We got this great costume from Revolution that looked like almost a gladiator type costume. And so my costume designer would add pieces to it. So somebody would have some part draping off their shoulder. Somebody would have it draping across their chest and different things like that. So it was all kind of tailored to each person's body.
Yeah.
But it was still the same costume. But then when we did it with everybody, nobody noticed that one person was different. It was really cool, actually.
Yeah,
really
I love that. We do that quite often, actually. We do. We've maybe started a couple years ago, but it's just brilliant. And it also just makes your piece kind of stand out.
Yes. You don't look like every other studio coming across. So
what do you do for shows and events with insecure girls changing clothes?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I don't know about you, but we have somewhat limited dressing areas.
Yeah, we do too.
As much as I would love everybody to just be able to change in a big room, I know that that's not possible for a lot of our students. So we will have a changing station kind of inside our our dressing rooms as well, like just a curtain or something like that. So they can just go behind there if they feel that they need to. Because, sometimes we haven't done that and then the bathrooms are completely filled and nobody can get in to go to the bathroom because people are putting on their costumes. And I understand. I mean, it's such a tough time, with your body changing and all of that stuff.
And they also have those little pop-up tents.
Yeah.
Have you seen those little like cylinder pop-up tents? Those are really
them all the time at competition.
Yeah, they're great for competition. And also on the side of the stage at your recitals or concerts for quick changes.
Yes.
They're great.
Yeah. But I would just say have something in there so nobody, even if it is just a curtain, so nobody feels really embarrassed about not, it's just there. So it's not a big deal to change. And not, we're dealing with some students who may have had sexual abuse or, different. So it's not just an insecurity. I mean, I feel that a lot of our kids may have had to deal with some really, really serious stuff. And I would never want a moment as special as like a dance recital to send them back into some, traumatic place.
I agree. We never know what's exactly going on.
Right.
Student. Yeah.
And sometimes what I do, and this is great too for saving money, is we'll have like a leotard and then the other parts of the costume go over it. So I'm just getting delivery after delivery today.
I love it. I want to see what you're getting. Angela, what do you do as far as choreography and movement to make sure, because I know you have students of all abilities at your studio, and we do too, even, we don't have as large of a special needs program, but how do you make sure that you're adapting choreography for all body types?
Sure.
And things like that.
Yeah, I think it just kind of, I guess it's just something I just do. I don't exactly know how to explain it now that I'm thinking about it. But, obviously I'm not going to have everybody like turn around and show their booty or something like that. But too, if it's like a leg hold or something like that, I'll section out different groups. Like one person, may be fantastic at turns, but jumping down into the splits is not going to work for them. So we kind of adapt with those kind of things. Is that, how about you? I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer.
I think that's great. I think we start with our theme.
Yes.
And, we look at the kids in the class and we envision what they are great at and try to come up with a theme in that way.
Yeah.
I had a competition piece with some kids, some great tappers of all sizes.
Awesome.
They were very good at musical theater at their schools and they're just little actresses.
That's great.
So we made them nerdy little secretaries and
funny.
we did like a typewriter dance.
Very cool.
Or, we've had students who were maybe larger and couldn't quite do all of the steps.
Right.
And so we would, come up with themes that showcased different, like individuality. Like we did an orchestra piece where every student was a different instrument.
Oh, very cool.
You just get creative so that they are shining in what they can do. I always think of your number that you did, This Is Me.
Oh,
started.
Stars.
Yeah. Tell everyone about that one. That was beautiful.
So I had this wonderful student named Hannah who's in a wheelchair and can barely move her hands. Her arms a little bit. But in our last competition piece from This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, I don't know. We started with one of the other girls turning her around in the chair. And then it was just a spotlight on her. And, talking about how, I've been in the dark and afraid to show who I am. And she started by moving her arms. And then all of the other special stars is what I call them, our group of students with special needs, all came on and danced. And it was just like, I still get chills thinking about it.
When I saw this on Facebook, I cried. It was beautiful. You did it so well.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what I'm going to do this year now.
You're so creative. You always come up with something wonderful.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I mean, just showcasing, I wanted to showcase the difference in her, that she can be just as stunningly beautiful in her movement with rigid arms that never straighten, and I think it was more impactful because we actually shone a light on it.
Yeah.
We didn't try to cover it. We didn't try to hide it. This is who she is. And that it was beautiful.
I think that this topic just resonates with you and I because it's in our mission and our values so deeply. Like it is one of our values.
Core values.
Yeah, one of our 8 core values is to be inclusive of all students. And so I think it's easy for us because we created our studios to be this way.
Sure.
But how would someone who, maybe doesn't have a dress code or doesn't have a special needs program, how would they start to implement these things?
I think it's always good to have just even in a kind of an awareness meeting with your staff to recognize signs of somebody who might be struggling, whether it's with body image, whether it's with cutting, whether it's with any kind of, issue. Even bringing in your staff meetings, bringing in like a psychiatrist just to kind of make everybody aware. Because I think awareness is the first biggest thing because, once you're aware, you can then start to make the changes. But if you're not aware and not picking up on any of it, I think that's when it can really become a problem. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's talking to parents.
Yeah.
Like why you're implementing something or why you do something. It's always going to reflect back to your why and your values, and you bring it up often. You put it in your marketing literature. And maybe you just start with one thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I have found has been hard sometimes in the past is we did have a girl who was larger, who we had on our competition team for a number of years. But as she continued to gain weight, her knees got so bad that I had to let her go because of her knees. But her parents took it as, because my child is overweight, this is why you cut her from the team. So, those are things that you have to deal with as well.
Yeah, that's tough. Like with our team, we never ever talk about weight.
Right.
But we have done journals about like food intake, and we've brought in health coaches, and it's always about fueling our body to be to work in its best light.
Right. And if the dancer has to sit out half the time, you can't,
Yeah. They also, their body is their tool. So they also have to take care of it. And so that may mean keeping a food log so you can become aware of like water intake or how much you're snacking or what types of, nourishment you're fueling your body with. But never, ever do we talk about losing weight or gaining weight or any of that. But we will talk about energy.
Yeah, we did a fun exercise at a retreat this summer that I had with my students. And we got like a bunch of paper, like those long rolls of paper. And we had each person lay down, and then we outlined their body like they were laying down like a cardboard cutout.
Oh, cool.
And then they had to write their name where their heart was on their body. And then we didn't tell them what was going to happen. But then later on in the day, everybody got to go around and write something inside the person's body shape that they loved about them, that they thought was beautiful, that they, admired, different things like that. And it wasn't necessarily about their body type.
Right.
But it was really powerful because these girls got to see their body in a new way. And some of them who were bigger had more wonderful things written on their body because there was more room. So just some things like that, if you can do some kind of creative way of allowing other people to get encouragement without having to sit there and listen to it, because that's hard for a lot of our students to just sit and listen and take in good things about themselves.
That's beautiful. I just love that. We do. We need to build these students up because I'm not sure they're getting built up anywhere else.
Right. And I do something that's so silly, and I'm sure it's probably bad from physical educators, but if anybody in my class says can't, the whole class has to do 10 push-ups because I don't like the word can't. And not that I'm trying to punish them with push-ups, but even our 2-year-olds now know, everybody does a push-up if somebody says can't. So different things like that. So
we have about a minute left. Is there any number one piece of advice that you have on this body positivity subject?
I think be careful what you say in class, and remember that there may be somebody who's really struggling with it, and they may seem like the student who isn't struggling at all, but behind the happy face, there may be some other stuff going on. So be aware.
Yeah.
How about you?
I agree with that. And I would say, don't be afraid of the conversations. Start the conversations with the parents in the lobby and have the conversations with the kids in the studio about how great their bodies are and how much our bodies can do, and the wonderful gifts that our Creator has given us.
Absolutely.
With our body, and that we should be so appreciative of it and treat it kindly. That's what I think.
I would love to hear what other people do to promote body positivity in their studios. I think it would be a great conversation to start having.
Absolutely. Oh, what a great, great conversation, Angela. Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing something that was, a personal story that was so deep.
Well, thank you for being open to listening.
All right. Thanks, guys, everyone. It's so fun to spend this 30 minutes with you each week.
Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. I hope you got a huge amount of value from the amazing Angela and Jodi, who are not only dance studio owners, but they are also members of our Dance Studio Owners Inner Circle program. Now, if you would like more information and resources on how you can grow your dance studio while reclaiming your life, please head to our website, dsoa.com. We'll see you there and see you back next week for another awesome episode.